Hey guys, every month the members of Chess Vibes Academy here on YouTube get to submit their games, and I choose one game that I think will be instructive to everybody else. This month I've chosen Marion's game. He was playing with the black pieces in this position, and he noticed that White's rook was trapped. He moved his bishop in, which is a great move. He captured the rook, fantastic, and he now has a totally winning position. You can see the eval bar there, says 4.5 advantage for black. That's great. But he was having a hard time actually winning the game. And I thought this would be really instructive because I think a lot of you guys watching this can relate to this, right? You're playing a game, your opponent blunders something, you see it, you find the tactic, whatever. You get into a good position, but then they start defending and you just don't really know how to actually win the game, right? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. So thank you, Marion, for submitting this game. This is going to be very helpful to everybody, I think, watching. I've got 5 principles that you can follow to win games. When you get into a good position, how do you actually finish it out and win? Let's talk about it. And I do want to show you how he ended up in this position very quickly in case you're curious. So Marion's playing with black. Both players are kind of developing their pieces and fighting for the center. White kind of goes a little crazy on the queen side here. Marion reacts relatively well. Jumps the knight in. We get a trade. He brings his rook over, creating the discovered attack on the queen. Very good idea. He misses an opportunity here to snag a pawn, okay, because the attack, he could have actually just taken this. But no worries. Bishop f6, not a bad move. The bishop comes out. Very good. Queen d7. I love this move so that he can recapture with his rook and keep the rook on the open file. Exactly what happens. a4, bishop g4. Very good. Threatening to open up the king side. And right here, White makes the mistake. Knight to e1. This is the critical position that I showed you at the start of the video. He jumps in. Very good. Rook is trapped. And he wins the exchange, as we call it, the bishop for the rook. Okay? Fantastic. So he's got a winning position. But over the next couple of moves, things don't go quite as they should for Marion. Okay? And we're going to talk about why and what he could have done differently. So let's take a look. He plays the move queen e6. This is a great move. This is fantastic. He's taking a piece that was pretty good and he's making it even better. He's creating a battery and he's threatening an immediate checkmate. He's doing so many things all at the same time. I absolutely love this. And he's lining up on this diagonal, which we'll talk more about in just a second. So really, really nice move, threatening the immediate checkmate. White plays queen to d2. And right here, I would like to, if you guys watching want to pause, what would you play in this position? All right, well, if you had a chance to look at that, the move that Marion played was bishop to g5. And it's a nice idea. He's basically saying, look, you can't take my bishop because I will come down and checkmate you. Cool, right? It's pretty good. The problem is White just played queen d1 and then the game went on. I want to stop here just for a moment and talk to you about the first principle. Okay, the principle, and I'm just going to call it, of multiple weaknesses. Okay, when you are playing a game of chess, it is very, very common that you will make a threat on something and your opponent will defend it, right? Like what we saw here. That's it. It's most of the time they're going to be able to do that. You make a threat, they defend something. But when you start to transition from, okay, there's one threat here, but now I'm going to make another threat, maybe on a different section of the board, on the other side of the board, at the same time. So you have 2, 3, 4 different things being attacked all at the same time. That is usually when your opponent's position starts to crumble. They just can't defend everything, especially if you have all your pieces on good squares in a good position, like black does. All of black's major pieces are very well positioned, right? So if you think about this principle of multiple weaknesses, the move that I really would have liked to see Marion play is queen to b3. What are we doing? Well, we're switching the focus from we were attacking here to now we're attacking here. And if you look carefully, this attack on this pawn is actually very, very difficult, if not impossible, for White to stop. I invite you to pause and think through. There's 2 particular defensive options that White might play. There's a problem with both of them. Go ahead and pause. Try to find what those 2 moves are and see if you can find why they're not good. All right, if you had a chance to look at that. So the 2 defensive moves that I was thinking of were, number 1, queen to a5, defending the pawn like this. And the reason it's not good is because take the bishop. The queen was defending the bishop. Now we take it. We're coming in here with the checkmate again, and we just got a free piece, right? That doesn't work. The other way they could do it would be queen to c2. Not a good move, even though it looks like it defends the pawn. Why? because we have this beautiful removing the guard tactic. So the only thing defending the queen is the knight. We can actually sacrifice our rook with check. The king has to take us. And now we've removed the guard. There's no longer a piece defending. We simply take the queen. So what that means is that there is really no way for white to defend this pawn. You could try to push it, but that doesn't help him. We could even just take here if we want. And the pawns are now very weak, and we're just munching up all the pawns. There's really no way for white to deal with it, right? The principle of multiple weaknesses. They just have too many weak spots on the board. They can't defend them all. And queen b3 is a great way to take advantage of that. Okay, so that's the first thing that I really would have liked to see Marion notice, and I think this game would have went differently, right? Okay, back to the game. So they played bishop g5. Not a bad move, but it's easy for white to defend. They just drop the queen back, keep defending these two key squares, and again, black has to figure out what to do, right? They play the move queen to a2. Now, it almost looks like they're trying to do what I just said, principle of multiple weaknesses. They're coming in, they're attacking some things, right? But the position has totally changed, and this brings me to principle number 2. When you are ahead, you have to keep your position solid at all costs. So let me just remind you, going back to this position, if you play queen b3 here, notice this is defended. Black's position is extremely solid. This is defended. There's really nothing that white can do except let him take the pawns, like we already talked about, right? You compare that, going back to the game, this position, notice the bishop has moved away. This pawn is no longer defended, so there's actually a nice move for white, which they found. You should take the pawn. Oh, and by the way, this is also defended. So it's not the same situation at all. It's very different, and the position for black is not as solid as it was, and all of a sudden, things start to change. You say, well, it's just a pawn, right? It's not a big deal, right? He still has the rook. True, but it's those small little things that start to add up over the course of several moves, right? And that's what we're going to see. So keep your position solid at all costs when you have a good position, because if you don't, this is what can happen, right? Okay, let's keep going. So he plays bishop d2, which, okay, you're hoping you can take the knight and then, win the queen. The problem is when you get to a certain level, these easy, I'm just going to call it an easy one-move threats are almost always going to be seen and dealt with appropriately, right? Like he's playing against an 1100 rated player. If he was 400 or 500 or 600, okay, maybe they might not see it and you just take the knight and you win. But against a good player, they're going to see what you're going to do most of the time, and they're going to deal with it. That's exactly what happens in the game. He just moves his knight, attacks the bishop. Now he has to waste time moving his bishop. So the next principle is try to avoid easy one-move threats, okay? Unless you are getting something else in return, I don't think I would play this move. Now, I do want to go back and just point out something. Earlier, I said queen e6 was a great move. Isn't this just an easy one-move threat? The answer is no. Yes, it's a one-move threat, and of course, white's going to probably deal with it like they did. But this move was a good move for other reasons. We have a battery, which is great. But also, like I talked about, we control this diagonal and we can invade and start putting the principle of multiple weaknesses into play. So we were getting a lot more from this move than just the one move threat. That's why it was such a good move. Going back to the position over here where he played bishop d2, you're not really getting anything else except the one move attack. Like the bishop sitting on d2, in my opinion, actually is a liability because now it's attacked by the queen. I don't really like it sitting there. And when the knight moves, case in point, you have to move it away. I don't like it there. So that is why here I'm saying, no, don't go for the one move threat, right? It's just not the same, okay? Let's keep going. He goes bishop back to a5, and white plays the move c6. Good moment for you guys to pause. What would you do in this position if you're black? All right, well, in the game, Marion decided to play b6. Not a great move, and let's talk about why. This brings me to my fourth principle. Try not to limit your own pieces voluntarily unless you absolutely have to, okay? This bishop has a really nice idea of going to b6 if it wants to, right? He's not doing a whole lot over here. The bishop on d4 is very powerful in the center of the board. I would love to be able to trade these bishops. I think that would dramatically improve black's position. And bishop b6 might be an easy way to do that because if the bishop leaves, we have a checkmate. We're basically forcing a bishop trade. So I want this option available to me as black. As soon as I play b6, not anymore. My bishop is almost trapped. Can't go there, I can't go there, I can't go there. I have one square for my bishop. That's it. I have done that to myself, right? I didn't have to play b6. So if Marion instead just simply takes the pawn, he leaves this option open. One more thing about this that I don't like is that we've given white this really nice pawn chain where everybody is defended. It's kind of cramping down our position. Unless we can take this pawn on a4, which we can't do anything about it. They're just all connected. When we trade, well, now this c6 pawn is a weakness. Maybe we can attack that at some point and take it, right? So I did not like b6. The big thing is just don't limit your pieces, right? Do not trap your own pieces in unless you have to. Okay, let's keep going. So b6 was played. White plays knight e5. f6. Okay, I don't mind that move. You're chasing the knight away. Knight goes back. And right here, if you guys would like to pause, what would you do as far as a plan in this position? What do you think you should do? All right, if you had a chance to think through that. So Marion decided that it was time to activate the king and then proceeded to play the move g5. Okay, this is a really big mistake, and here's why. Queens are still on the board. The queen, not only is it still on the board, it actually has easy access to get over to your king once this knight moves. And exposing your king is the last thing you want to do right now, right? It goes back to keep your position solid. This is not following that principle at all. So that's why I really don't like this plan of bringing your king here and here, okay? And we'll look at some more of that in just a second. So what's a better plan? Well, this brings me to another principle. Rooks must have open files to be effective. Okay, you say, Nelson, it's on an open file. It is effective, right? Kind of, but we're also kind of at a standstill. We can't go here, we can't go here, we can't go here, we can't go here, we can't go here. Everything is defended by white's pieces. Right? The rook can't really do anything. I mean, it looks nice, but he can't do anything. So what would be a better plan than exposing the king like this? a6. Hey, Nelson, what are you talking about? I thought you were talking about the rook. Now you're playing a6. What's going on? Here's the idea. We're going to make a file for the rook to be even more effective over here on the a file. So for example, white does some random move. We take, we come over here. I don't know what they're going to do. We move the bishop, and guess what? My rook's coming up here and taking this pawn. Maybe I'm moving my queen, and my rook's coming down here, and I'm starting to threaten. I mean, imagine if the rook is on the second rank. Now we're controlling the open file and the second rank. Look at all the coverage that we will get from our rook. And then our queen can be sitting here, controlling a bunch of other things, threatening here and threatening here and threatening here, and maybe coming over to this way. Now the principle of multiple weaknesses is really into effect because our rook is even that much more powerful. Okay? And if you're wondering if they take your pawn, it doesn't really change. Sorry, they take your pawn. It doesn't really change anything. You still come over here, you take this, and again, your rook is coming in, attacking the weak pawn, and move your bishop. You take it, you bust through, right? So yeah, just keep your position solid. You do not want to be exposing your king at any cost at this position, especially with queens on the board. If queens were traded, it would be a different story. Okay, if queens were traded, it would be a totally different story, but they're not. You can't do this. I wanted to see a6, and he was going to be just fine. Now, bishop e3, yeah, g5. And for example, there's actually a really nice sacrifice from white immediately, which leads to a perpetual check. The queen comes in, and there's no way to get away from the checks. If white is smart about how they do it, it gets a little bit complicated because there's so many different places that your king can move to, but the queen and the bishop are going to be able to do perpetual check with the best play. And then in the game, what happened was knight here, bishop here, queen came over, and white is now winning. White is now winning because of the weakness of the king, right? And if they would have saw queen takes h7 check, yeah, I think white was probably going to win the game. Now, Marion got a little bit lucky and ended up winning this game. I'll show you how it ended. Okay, there's the checkmate. So it turned out okay, but against a better player, they would have been in trouble, right? And the reason was because of all those principles that we talked about. All right. So I hope that helps you guys. Thank you, Marion, for submitting this game. I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to. You get into a good position and then it just slips away from you. Try to remember those 5 principles. And if you want your game analyzed like this, check out Chess Vibes Academy. Link is in the description. Also, it's on the main channel page. Thank you, guys. See you next time. Stay sharp. Play smart. Take care.